Minecraft, the most popular game of all time, and obviously needs no introduction. Every single person should have at least heard of Minecraft, and while it's seen as a kid-friendly game, it's always been heavily influential to online urban legends and creepypastas, and honestly it truly makes sense. Early Minecraft is a very different game than it is now, with the game having an empty, almost unnatural feeling that modern Minecraft really doesn't have. It truly just feels like a different game, with early Minecraft having only a couple of things populating the overworld and strange things populating the landscape such as empty villages and abandoned temples. But there wasn't truly anything creepy in original Minecraft. We even covered Herobrine last week, so unless that's real, then there's really nothing to be afraid of. Or is there? While searching for some new analog horror videos to cover, this video called Anti-Piracy by Volux got sent to me by one of my friends, and I was honestly surprised to see that no one had covered it yet, so I gave it a watch. The video begins like every playthrough of Minecraft should, with the player picking a world and immediately breaking down a tree and beginning to mine. However, just as the screen begins to go fully black, they are then booted from the game, returning back to the world. Upon returning back to the world, we see a list of unknown commands, and then unknown player says to ignore the warning and then says that it sees our player. When they reply, the unknown person says it's at their window and to not get up and continue playing. However, when they continue playing, the music cuts out and then starts to play in reverse, so they quickly try to quit to no avail when the unknown player begins to mock them. They then find a sign asking if they want to play, when in the distance a figure appears and rapidly approaches them before disappearing just as quickly as it arrived. The screen is then overwhelmed by the question, "So play?" before a face appears and the screen cuts to black, before transporting the player into a super flat world with just a tree and a sign that says build. To try and appease the entity, they then build a small wooden shack when out of nowhere another small wooden shack appears, which they decide to go inside to explore. And upon entering, they are surrounded by knocking noises where on top of a furnace, a sign reads "Climb in" before a singular frame of a distorted face is shown. Before a new sign appears with the door now gone, reading "I died here." And then after a while of trying to break out but not being able to, another sign appears saying, "Don't you think it would be a nice place to die?" This causes the player to struggle even more, but then upon looking back, a doorway has reappeared, and another sign lies directly ahead which reads, "Why would you leave? It's beautiful here." This confuses the player, and then the same figure appears, this time filling up the whole sky, before once again disappearing with a new sign. And upon approaching it, it reads, "You've been so focused on the screen." The player then finds another sign saying "Turn around" before the character goes still and cuts to black. The player is then kicked from the world with the final message reading, "Expired." This video is extremely interesting to me, as well as a lot of things that I would like in it, such as a weird creepy atmosphere, no useless scares, and is generally well made. I still just don't think it works. But first, let's look at the positives. First off, the atmosphere that is built here is effective, doing an excellent job at portraying the emptiness of early Minecraft, especially when the sound goes out and the render distance is lowered to the earliest setting. It does a really good job of capturing that eeriness and loneliness that comes with early Minecraft, especially in the later half. This makes the fourth wall break that much more effective, as you're already put on edge by the eerie atmosphere, so when the creature reveals that it can see the player, it's legitimately affected. Now, is it super effective due to the way the scare is portrayed? Not really, but the atmosphere helps boost it past being a subpar scare. Then there is the loneliness that is portrayed, as you feel like they are completely alone, especially when they get sent to the super flat world. There is nothing surrounding them for miles, they're completely and totally alone with nowhere to go. Super flat worlds are really good at conveying that because there really is nothing around you. It's completely flat. It's all on your own. This makes it seem like the entity is almost playing with our protagonists, toying with them while it has complete control of the situation. The player is completely in the dark. They have no true idea of what could really be happening. Then there is the way the entity is portrayed itself, not really being seen directly till the halfway point, and with the way it is portrayed, it doesn't seem like it wants to interact with the protagonist, instead wanting to just watch them from a distance. I really feel like the single second frames really add to this feeling more than anything else, because it reminds the viewer that it's always there. There is no true escape from it. It also works as a good fourth wall break because it seems almost like the creature knows that we are watching the video and is tormenting us as well. But besides all of that, there really isn't many other positives that I see within the story, with one issue coming up in my brain first as making absolutely no sense. That, of course, being, this has already been done before and it's almost a direct copy of something else. Now, this does not mean that I am claiming this is plagiarized. I am not. However, I cannot help to notice the extremely uncanny similarities to No Players Online, even down to the video using the exact same scare and model as the game, with the way the creature interacts with the player seeming a lot like the way the game's creator interacts with the player in No Players Online. Like, this almost plays like a one-to-one recreation of that game besides the second half. And I really don't know if this was trying to do this intentionally, like it was trying to recreate it, or it was just trying to pass it off as being a different thing, but who knows. This just could be something that is only bothering me, but when I see these extreme similarities, it somewhat irks me because it doesn't really feel like its own thing. I assume this is done intentionally due to the usage of the exact same model, but with a slightly different face, but you never know nowadays. No hate towards the creator of this, I must reiterate, it's just something strange as it just seems to be a Minecraft version of that game, which I already have covered in my retro horror games video in much more detail, which I will link below if you want to check it out. It has many more retro horror games that are that same style as No Players Online, so if you want to see more about that game, click that video. But this truly just bewilders me because it makes me ask what the point of this video truly was. If I wanted to see the story of No Players Online, I would just play No Players Online, as its storytelling and pacing is much more intriguing and interesting than the plotline in this one. The decision making behind this video just truly confuses me on multiple occasions, not just with that, but with some more stuff as well. Another thing about this video that confuses the hell out of me is, why is this an anti-piracy video? The anti-piracy portion doesn't really add anything to the story whatsoever. It confuses the hell out of me and completely why it was included. It's only used for a maybe 10-second gag and that's it. It doesn't add anything. Then there's the question I would always ask is, I see something like this used in the analog horror format, and that's, why would this be made into a VHS tape? It does not make any sense for this to be in the VHS format at all, due to it being Minecraft. VHS is an obsolete format, so the usage of VHS for telling a modern story just doesn't make any sense to me from a storytelling perspective. And yes, I understand that VHS tapes are like the new in format for YouTube horror, but I think generally the format is more of a hindrance here rather than adding to it. It makes a lot of the text illegible and generally makes the viewing experience worse. I also think it would have just worked better if it had just been an older version of Minecraft, as it would have had those memories of exploring those old, almost abandoned worlds more related to the story, as old Minecraft has that atmosphere pre-built into it. Then there's the scares themselves. Oh boy, do not even get me started on these. First off, there's the figure, which is ripped directly from No Players Online, like a genuine one-to-one of the scare from that game. Like, that scare has not an ounce of originality to it. It is completely ripped from that game. It is not even original in any slightly way, besides that little face that they add onto the top of it. And while I see many people in the comments praising the scare, I truly do not understand the appeal of it, as it's already been done before and better in No Players Online. Then there's the watching the player scare, which I think actually works not on its own, but because of the atmosphere and the world building surrounding it. If it didn't have that subtle frame scares and the signs changing depending on where you're looking, I think it wouldn't work. But since it does, it's fine. However, it does the age-old cliche that I've been talking about for seemingly months now. That, of course, being the music begins to play in reverse to symbolize that things are off. I am so tired of this trope, especially since the video shows literally seconds later that the atmosphere is much creepier with pure silence and only the game noises in the background. The backwards music is not needed and is completely unnecessary. Why was it added? Then there's the final scare with the creature appearing in the sky, which, while I think would work for people in the younger age demographic, which this video I believe is intended for, it just doesn't work for me personally, so I won't get onto it too much. And to add to that, I really could not understand the vibe that this video was going for, as is elements from stuff that are intended for older demographics, but the video as a whole comes across as almost slap content, where it's made purely just to scare children. It doesn't seem interested in trying to tell an intriguing story, instead just trying to scare people in the most boring and safe ways possible. It comes across like a lot of those older Minecraft horror and .exe games, which almost make me wonder if this video was intended to be a parody of sorts, but I'm truly not sure. And in all honesty, this video just left me extremely confused all around. I don't really understand what it's trying to do at all. Don't get me wrong, I understand everything that happened in the video, but I really cannot understand whether this is a genuine attempt at analog horror or instead clickbait content intended for children. I'm really not sure. And with all that being said, to wrap this all together, this video seems to get the first step done, which is building an affected atmosphere, but fails at the second step, which is paying off on the atmosphere, as there isn't really any truly disturbing payoffs here. Due to all that being said, I would give it a final score of 4 out of 10, and thank you all for watching, and make sure if you made it this far to hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure to comment your thoughts down below, and I'll see you all next week.